We are making one of the easiest recipes I have ever seen today. This is a gluten-free pan bread, but you can use regular flour just as easily, and the taste is just as delicious. So all we're using is 1.5 cups of flour. I'm using cup for cup. We're using 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We're using 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and you can use regular salt, but I am using truffle salt today. And I'm also going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic, just to add it a little more, give it a little more flavor. And I am using 1 cup of just a warm water, not hot, but warm. And for gluten-free, I always add just maybe like a tablespoon more of water, just because gluten-free flour is very, very thick. So we're going to get started. So easy. I have my little pan again today, just because it only makes a small bread amount. So I'm going to do my baking powder. 1 teaspoon baking powder into my dish. I already have my flour in there, 1.5 cups of flour. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of truffle salt. Oh, it's about 1/2 teaspoon. You see how I'm a measurer again. And then I won't use the measuring for the garlic. I'm just going to pour a little in my hand, just like that. About 1/2 teaspoon. Have all that in there. We're going to stir in the water. Make it into a soft dough. Just until it's all mixed together. That truffle salt smells good. I love truffle salt. It's pretty expensive, but it's very tasty. Adds a good flavor to things. All right, my dough is mixed. Give it a couple more stirs. So it's going to be a very pliable dough, very thin. Not going to roll into a ball or anything. I'm going to turn my little electric skillet on here. You can use it on a gas stove, but I'm using the electric skillet so I can kind of be in front of you while I'm doing this. So I have it up to about 350, maybe that's medium. This little skillet goes up to 425. I'm going to put in a tablespoon of olive oil, or oil that you have. We just use olive oil quite often. And spread that around in my pan. And get the dough in there. We don't want the pan hot while we're doing this. We want it to be cool. And then I'm just going to pour the batter in there and move it out to the sides to make kind of a small loaf. And it's a cross between Indian fry bread and focaccia bread, because it does puff up nicely and get really brown. So if you can see my pan, I've just spread it out almost all the way to the edges, because this is a small pan. It's an 8-inch pan. And that's all there is to it. We're going to put a cover on it and leave it on medium-high heat for 10 minutes. And then we're going to come back, check the underside, and then we'll flip it for 5 more minutes. I'll see you shortly. All right, we're at our 10-minute mark. Let's see how that looks on the other side. The bread's risen slightly. And let's see how crispy it is on the other side. Look at that bread, that looks delicious. Now we're going to leave it another 5 minutes on low. So I'm going to turn my skillet down to 275, put the lid back on, and come back in 5 minutes. I've also mixed a little bit of flavored butter. I just used regular unsalted butter and put some of the truffle salt in there, so we have some truffle salt to have with our bread. You can make any type of flavored salt that you like with spices, or just regular butter works good too. We're back. Our bread looks pretty done. I did remember while doing this that when I use gluten-free flour, I usually need to leave it in there on the flip side for at least 10 minutes. I don't know why it takes a little bit longer to cook, but it does. So let's take it out of the pan and see what it looks like. I have my little skillet here. I'll flip it over. Oh, it looks very pretty. Okay, so we're going to put it right there. Move my skillet out of the way. Okay, I have my truffle butter. I have a dish. Let's cut it open and see what it looks like. You know, you probably should let it rest just a little bit, but we want to try it. So let's see the texture on the inside. The outside has a nice crust on it. You can hear that. And here's the inside. Looks pretty good. We'll put some truffle butter on there. Just like you would a piece of focaccia bread. That looks good. Let's try a little end piece. It's going to be pretty warm, but you know how I like to try things when they first come out. Very tasty. Again, try this with gluten-free flour or regular flour. With the regular flour, you can cook it a little shorter time frame, the 10 minutes on medium and then 5 minutes on low. But just check it every now and then and make sure you're getting a good crust on each side. All right, happy bread making.